In this tutorial, I want to do a quick video on the tFlowTolterate component. The tFlowTolterate component is right here and there. That's what it looks like. It's very similar to setting a global variable, except now you set all the rows that, for example, all the rows that you can select here, you can write to this component and it'll put it into a global mapping. Then you can iterate through all of the items in that list, in the global list, and perform actions that you need to do globally. For example, the if statement. The if statement doesn't necessarily need to have a global variable, but it's a best practice to do that because it's the most reliable way, and it's also easier to read that way too. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to well, I'll leave that there. So here I'm just selecting all the employee information, well, most of it anyway. I think that's all the columns in that table. I'm logging it out, and then I'm going to write it to this global variable. Now you can use the default key in variables, default key value fields, and what that'll just be is, you know, the name of the schema that goes into there. If you want specific things, you can add a key value here yourself. So here's the value of that one, and so on. And this is this will be birthday, and so on like that. I'm going to use default just because I'm lazy. And you can see I just clicked through the rest of it. There's basic component views that you have for every component in Talon. Now, so everything's going to be written to here, and then I'm going to copy. Actually, I'll just search for it here. T-log row. Right there, and you have to iterate for every record in here. You have to iterate onto something else, and it's not letting me do that for some reason. So you cannot iterate onto a logging component, apparently. I'm going to move this over here, and then I'm going to move this over here. It's written to a global mapping now, so now what we can do is say on if. Apparently I can't go there with an if statement either. So we will add something else here. Let's just copy this thing. And we'll just say if. I'm just going to tilt it a bit so you can read the if statement. So if let's see, control space, and here's our tFlowTolterate. So I'm just going to type tFlow, and then you can see all the fields there in the global mapping now, and then some of the ones that are there by default, like current iteration, which returns an integer of, you know, how many times it's been iterating through all the values in the list. Any error messages that come up are written to this thing, and I'm just going to look for if this string, which gets back, which is it casts it automatically to a string or whatever data type the schema is. I'm going to compare it to capital M, and that would be for male. So if I'll write out all the males to the screen, pretty much, and I really would like to know what those are. So I think what I'll do here is I'll just print out that global variable, and we'll activate this tFlow, hit control space, and I want to print out their gender, and then I'll remove this one and just do the same, run if, do this, tFlow, control space, gender dot equals, oops, that ends with that equals M, semicolon. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. And let's make sure this thing can actually work as well. So I'm going to go ahead and run the job. You can see it propagate, and I have an error, syntax token, syntax error. Put a semicolon in there somewhere. Or no, what was the delete this token? Oh, it must be in my if statement then. Doesn't like the semicolon then. Yeah, that's right, you don't put semicolons in the if statement. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and then run this again. So now we see it propagated to here, and then this is limited to 100. I'm going to run it again without that setting on. And it looked at the first one that was iterated into there, and the first one was false, so then it didn't iterate through the rest of them. So if I click on this and make this component view, and make this F for female, then in theory it should propagate to my other component. And then I hit true, and then did not print out anything. I'll print F. So interesting factoid is that it actually executed the custom Java code first before it printed out the select statement here. Why it does that, I'm not quite sure. But it only iterated through that one for that one if statement. So we really need to iterate through the rest of them. So what I can do here is I'll just copy this and paste it here. Let's see if I can iterate on this component, and then it looks like I can. So then I'm just going to what do I want to do? If tFlow gender dot equals, if it's a male, then output what the gender is. Else I'll say this one is female, just so we can see if it's working or not. Okay, so it executed that 100 times for each row, and you can see it went through each record written to the global mapping, and then outputted M, or the string I put. And then of course it actually executed the select statement, which is over here. I'm still confused if that executes in that order or just prints out in that order. But it works perfectly fine, so that's the important thing. Thank you for watching.